In this video, I'm going to show you how you can rewire your mind to change your reality. I'll be using this crystal right here to help you understand how your current reality is getting created. I'll also be breaking down why the current unwanted circumstances in your life continue to replay, but most importantly, I'm going to share with you in this video how you can step out of those old programs, step out of those old realities, and start creating a life that you're really excited to live and the one that you really deserve. So let's get started. Now, the first thing to understand about how your reality is created is it's not a reflection of what you're wanting or what you desire or even what you deserve, but life and reality will always reflect back to you who you are being. Now, no matter what it is that you believe to be true, and remember, a state of being that is getting reflected back to you is how you think and how you feel, as well as how you act in the world, heavily based on your thoughts and feelings. This is primarily going to be fueled by your self-image, or Neville Goddard would call this your self-concept. So even though you're a deserving human being, wonderful, full of worth, if you believe that you're not worthy, you're going to get reflected back to you this thought about yourself. You believe this to be true, and so that is what you're going to be reflected back in your life. Maybe for you, you keep getting reflection that you're not lovable. You keep finding people who are emotionally unavailable, and it could feel like, well, if I was lovable, if I was worthy, I'd be able to see something differently. But what you've got to understand is you're not able to perceive of anything, experience anything other than the images, the ideas, the beliefs you hold to be true about yourself. So the question now becomes, where do these ideas come from? No matter how you grew up, you had a caregiver, you had an adult who was responsible to take care of you. That person could be anyone. It could be your biological parents, it could be grandparents, it could be your aunts and uncles, anybody. Now this person, this adult, they have an inherent authority. Why? Because you, as a little one, do not have the skills to take care of yourself. So your life depends on this person. They have the authority over you because their competence, your survival depends on their competence. So what you do is you have to check in with this person. This could be one person. It could also be that primary culture. It could be siblings, whoever you grew up with. Now realize with your adult mind right now that it was never taken into consideration if this person had the emotional maturity, had the emotional capacity to actually meet your needs, because the only thing really you're going off of is survival. So it was never taken into consideration that this person, how they did it, wasn't actually the way to do it. We're not looking to blame this person. We're not looking to judge them. You might have a lot of feelings because this person could have been very loving. This person could have been very abusive. But what we want to understand is you. So if you grew up and maybe this person had a lot of stress in their life, and so when you expressed yourself and when you were excited about them coming home and you wanted to bond, they were stressed out. And so they might have told you to be quiet, that you're too much. When you get going, your excitement, that's too much. So you could have taken it as, oh, when I'm very excited, my energy is overwhelming to people. It's too much. Who I am inherently is wrong. Something's wrong with me. And that actually is the basis of shame. It's not I did something bad. It's I myself am bad. So you could have, in order to belong, which is a very basic need, in order to belong, you could have said, no, I can't be loud. I can't be excitable because when I do, it's too much for other people. But what you got to start to realize is it's not too much for other people. There are plenty of people in the world that if you got excited and you showed a lot of emotion, it would pump them up too because they would have space. But if you can start to see, oh, this person didn't have space. You know, if this was a cup of emotional capacity and they've got all their trauma and then they've got work and everything else, well, all they have is a very small amount. So anything could be too much. So it was not that you were too much, it was that they didn't have the space. So this is a huge way to start to empower and take back. Because when you can start to see things this way, you can actually start to take the authority from them and give it back to yourself. So much of the ideas we hold to be true, if you don't feel worthy, start to unwind. What is it that gave you the impression that you're not worthy or you're not lovable? Because you got to understand that whatever circumstances are happening in your reality right now, they're repeating not because of who you are, they're repeating because they're replaying out an original dynamic. And the more they replay, the more they're trying to get you to become aware of the original one. Because when you reason on this, your sweet, lovely, wonderful little mind was still developing and maturing. And unfortunately, you didn't have that skill, that ability to reason back then. So you took this as, okay, well, they know how to do it best, and they're the competent one, so boom, I guess out of default, it's me. And you didn't do this where you sat there and thought in your bed like, oh, okay, well, they're doing that, it must be me. This is just kind of a snapshot, and you put the blame on you. Now, if you're experiencing abandonment in romantic relationships or even friendships, you have that fear. This was a lot of my life, for most of all my life. Only up until about 2.5 years ago did I actually see things differently. And I started to incorporate it into my life. It completely changed my relationships, and it was the way that I was actually able to attract somebody into my life who is emotionally available and create a loving, secure relationship. So if you have that same experience where there's a lot of abandonment, there's a lot of fear of abandonment, you could have had an inconsistent caretaker emotionally. Now that could have looked like maybe sometimes they came home and they were really happy and everything was great. And other times they came home and they were really upset and there was a lot of emotion. They were very explosive. Maybe they were just irritated, but maybe they were actually angry. Also, this could have looked like somebody who was very loving, and then all of a sudden, they were just kind of like outer space. So the yes and no has created an internal emotional thermostat. You never quite know if things are good or not with another person. That could be both friends, and that could also be in romantic relationships. So understanding that whatever happened, wherever this person was on and they're off and they're hot and they're cold, right? This original relational model, your mind is how you see your current reality, whatever it is. And interpersonal relationships are primarily what has shaped your mind. So if you had a hot and cold relationship, and you start to look into your life and say, do I still have this on and off, or I have to prove, or I have to work really, really hard in order to keep somebody's attention? Maybe you have an on and off relationship with money. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. And this kind of back and forth. It's because that thermostat, that early on understanding and relating to yourself through this relationship has created a distortion of yourself. Going back to that crystal, it would think, I must not be lovable, because if I was lovable, that person would have been consistent. But that's not actually true. But you've pasted this to the understanding of yourself because of this experience. So all you're able to find in your outside world are replaying this, not because you're terrible, not because you're unworthy, but because you got to resolve this. And resolving this looks like understanding, oh, the on and off had to do with their emotional inconsistency, not what I lacked in order to be consistently loved. A need was not met in your life to provide a sense of belonging and a secure attachment. So you could have thought, oh, okay, when I have a lot of fun, I see this person seems to get irritated, or if I don't get a good grade, then I get kind of a cold shoulder, because their expectations, their opinions, their judgments of who they think I should be is what I have to live by according to this very early on model. Because this person, I don't know what they expected of you or how they treated you. But if you continue now to relate to how you have to be in order to be appreciated, in order to maintain a connection, you're going to continue to see that in your reality. And your reality is going to continue to look like the past. So the first part of this to really understand and rewire your brain is to start to become aware of what your mind actually is shaped. And it is, I have to be who they think I should be. If I'm really me, people will leave me. And what you got to start to see is, oh, This person was emotionally inconsistent. They didn't meet my need of consistency, and that created a wound in my attachment. And when I start to become aware of this, I can start to realize, oh, it wasn't me. I never caused them to do this. When you can just start to become aware of it, can radically change your life, because it's going to start to change how you see yourself. And when you start to change how you see yourself, what you see in the world will be dramatically different, because you're changing your mind. So the first part here is to start to understand the origins, why you don't feel worthy, why you keep maybe finding emotionally unavailable people, why you keep experiencing lack over and over and over. Most likely you might feel like you're not worthy. You might have a lot of shame or guilt, and realize everything is about energy, and those emotions, those feelings are producing electromagnetic impulses. So when you start to understand what you're actually energetically connected to and defining yourself as, you can actually start to free yourself to a new frequency, start to shift your mind in order to perceive of something different, which will completely change the course of what reality you're able to tap into. Now, the second thing you can do to start to rewire your mind in order to create that new reality is to mind the gap. And that means basically moment to moment, you're having different situations, and you've really got to understand what meaning you're putting on them. Let me explain. So for me, a lot of this would come up with romantic relationships. In my past, if I was interested in somebody, and maybe I texted them, maybe I texted something really nice, and then it was like, wait, they haven't said anything. Did I say too much? Oh man, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Did I do something? Maybe they're not really interested like I thought they were. So my head starts spinning. So what I'm saying here is, they must not like me. That's why this is happening. Now, what you've got to start to understand is this meaning is going to tell you if you're in the past or if you're being defined by a vision of your future. This is big Dr. Joe Dispenza work. So for me, if I'm saying, oh, maybe it's because they don't like me, I am actually assuming that first. So I am rejecting myself based on that fear of what it could mean. So I, in that moment, would be living through my past. And I'll keep seeing everything through that past lens because I'm energetically being that person. So I'm going to look out through that panic, and all I'm going to see is, oh, they still haven't texted. Oh my gosh. Oh, you know what? They did say that thing, and then they weren't sure if they wanted to hang out later. So electromagnetically, I'm sending out thoughts and feelings that will perpetuate my past. Now, what changed my entire life is understanding this and starting to accept and love me and take care of myself. And that would be, oh, okay, this person hasn't texted me. I don't know what's happening. I know that I'm wonderful. I know I'm loving. I know I bring a lot to the table. I know that I'm deserving. So how would I be defining myself there? It'd be by a vision of the future. It would be me fully loving and accepting myself as I am now. And so this right here, this moment is being defined by that future vision of me. So electromagnetically, I'm sending this out. To mind the gap, you got to do your ABCs. You got to be aware of what story you're telling. Is that from the past or from the future? Then you've got to breathe, because what's going to happen is you're going to be afraid. There's a reason you have this belief. Remember those early on dynamics. I'm safe right now. I'm learning to take care of myself. I am worthy. Okay, how can I best take care of myself in this moment? And that's going to be the C, the new choice. A is awareness, B is breath, and C is that new choice. The more you do this, the more you stay in the present moment, the more you tap into the power of neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to reconfigure itself, and literally that's going to give you new lenses into your reality, starting to perceive of opportunities that align with your true worth, that show you you're wonderful, because you believe it to be true before you can actually perceive it. Belief happens, energy, in order to actually receive that message, and then you say, oh, look, there it is. The more you do these two things, the more you can create that reality you really deserve to have. If you want a little bit more support on letting go of those limiting beliefs, this next video is going to break it down for you. Thank you for watching. I love y'all. If you like this video, hit like. If you haven't done so, join the community, and I will see you on the next one.